Hi, you've talked me into it. One last one on some of this church history stuff, because it does play into where we're at today as well. And it's the fastest church history course you will ever do. This 1,000 years really between the 4th century and the 14th, 15th century was a really dark time for the faith. It was taken out on the back of a sword. It was taken across the world with subjugation, linked inextricably with politics. The papacy rose and became a power in itself. How on earth church leader can become more powerful than kings of empires over the Dark Ages? It's unbelievable what went on in the name of the Prince of Peace. But this is what happened. But within that massive organisation, in the 1100s, there was a split actually. The Eastern Church, part of the Eastern Roman Empire, they split off and did things slightly differently. Grew long beards, actually, and they could marry. But this universal or Catholic Roman-run church spread around the place with real austerity and some nastiness, really, and control and domination and threats of hell and being excommunicated, all this stuff is just so not the heart of Christ. But during that time, there were periods when people like St. Francis of Assisi, Bernard of Clairvaux, started what we now call monastic orders, but at the time they were radical groups that got back to the gospel, got back to some stuff that wouldn't be allowed in the parish churches, so they operated outside of that and tried to bring the gospel. And then round about the 1400s, 1500s in Europe, quite a few people, Zwingli and Luther and Calvin, all decided that they were looking at the Bible in Latin and going, wow, this is horrendous, this is awful, what we've got to. And all different groups were popping up as well, that were just outside of the church. And eventually there was a kind of a split, but it wasn't a single split. It was people in different areas coming away from under this Roman governmental system that was still running in the 1500s, still running today actually, but it's very different in flavour. But it's effectively the same system. And what's happened since is people are discovering new things. They're discovering the original, and people aren't happy with it, so they say, well, you're not one of us anymore, go. And it all goes against so much of what Christ taught, and the unity in Christ and the unity in the Spirit that he went for. But today we have another reformation where we really are discovering that some of the things that came out of the Reformation originally 500 years ago weren't quite right either. Like in the early part of the last century, the gifts of the Spirit came back with a vengeance, and suddenly all the denominations have got people in them who are speaking in tongues and healing people and prophesying and all these wonderful things. We're back to Acts, we're back to Jesus in so many areas. But the Reformation continues because we're still meeting him the way we meet, we're still living the way we live. And some of that's practical because we're in the West now, we're in modern times. You can't go back to the biblical times because that would be terrible as well. But we are living in a hopeful time now where people are waking up to Christ in them, being awakened to the glory and the wonder that was there all along, and people have found him all along. But today we're in an amazing time, and I'm glad I'm alive now and not back then. This is a good time to be around. Good time to see the Spirit moving upon all flesh. See you soon. Bye now. Don't forget to share, like, and comment. Have an uberlicious day.